Welcome to another video. We want to find the smallest natural number such that if you double the number, you get a perfect square. If you triple the number, you get a perfect cube. Now, this is the kind of question that you will be tempted to just start from 1. Double 1, you get 2. Triple 1, you get 3. Neither of them is a perfect square or a perfect cube, so you move up to the next number. You just keep going and going and going. Well, it might take you a while, but you'll end up getting there with the help of a calculator. Maybe you don't need a calculator, or maybe you don't need to test numbers, which we call brute forcing. What if we don't want to brute force? We just want to do some algebra based on our understanding of the behavior of natural numbers and perfect squares and perfect cubes. That's what we're going to do. Let's get into the video. There are many ways to answer this problem, but the way I'm going to choose to solve it is going to be maybe the faster way or the fastest way that I know. And this is what I'm going to say. If 2 times a number is a perfect square, then that number itself is an even number, because the only way you can double a number and then get a bunch of squares is that there's another 2 hiding in this n that will partner this 2 so that you have 2 squared. So it will be 2 squared times another square, so you have a square. Okay? So you can clearly see, we can say if 2n is a perfect square, then n must be 2 times a square. So that when you now multiply it by another 2, it becomes 2 squared times k squared, which is 4k squared. That's what 2n is going to end up becoming. Okay, so then n is 2k squared, so that 2n will be equal to 2 times 2k squared, which is equal to 4k squared. No, 2k squared. Like that. So you're going to have 2 2's, and you're going to have a square of 2 and a square of k. That's what's going to happen here. So that's the understanding of this first sentence. And with this, you have found the secret to everything. That implies this is true. So if n is 2k squared, I'm going to take this fact. This is a fact, okay? I'm going to take this fact and go use it in the second one. Now, 3n is equal to a perfect cube. Instead of writing 3n, I'm going to be writing 3 times, remember I said my n is 2k squared. 2k squared is equal to a perfect cube. How do you represent a perfect cube? It's an integer raised to the 3rd power, right? So I'm just going to write it as, let's say, q cubed, where q is an integer. That's it. That's all I need. And it has to be a positive integer because remember, we said n is a natural number. I should have said this, stated that there somewhere. And let's say n is a natural number. So it's a positive integer, okay? A positive integer is a natural number. Now, so what does this mean? If we distribute this, we get 6k squared is equal to q cubed. Now, this is where I said, wow, this is easier than I thought. Looking at what we have here, you're thinking, how would I figure out the answer? The answer is now very obvious. Because 6 times a square, a perfect square, gives you a perfect cube. It's very easy to see that the only way to change a perfect square into a perfect cube is to multiply it by k, so that this side becomes k cubed. So your k must be 6. Another way is to do brute forcing and say, hey, I'm going to take the number 6 and multiply it by a bunch of perfect squares and see which of them is going to be a perfect cube. The first one that gives me a perfect cube will provide me the answer to the smallest n, such that this is true, because we said that n is 2k squared. So n is the smallest when k squared is the smallest. So you can just try all the k squares, all perfect squares. The first perfect square is 1. 1 times 6 is 6. It's not a perfect square. Next one is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. 24 is not a perfect cube, rather. Then you go to 9. 9 times 6 is 54. 54 is not a perfect cube. So you keep climbing to all the perfect squares. The smallest perfect square that's going to make your life easy is when you agree that k must be 6. And that's when you use 36. But it's obvious to see that the smallest perfect square to multiply 6, so that you'll get a perfect cube, which will be 6 times 6 times 6, is 36. So, the smallest value of k, such that 6k squared is a perfect cube, is 6. So our k is 6. And once you've identified k as 6, then we're done with the problem, because you just go here and plug it in and you get your answer. So I can say, therefore, the smallest n equals 2k squared, which is equal to 2 times 6 squared, which is equal to 2 times 36, so that's the smallest natural number, such that when you double it, it's a perfect square. Well, what's double 72? 144. 144, everybody knows 144 to be a perfect square. Okay, 12 times 12. And if we triple it, it's going to be 216, which is 6 times 6 times 6. So this is the correct answer. If this video makes sense, I know there are other ways, but I found them, you have to explain so many things. This one is just very straightforward and short too. If this video makes sense, give it a like and leave a comment in the comment section, share it. Please help this channel grow bigger, grow faster. And never stop learning. Those who stop learning, stop living. Bye-bye.